Welcome to another Blossoming Fate card reveal/review video. This time is a little different. I'm here with the co-host of the Evolve Point podcast, Shadowverse podcast that we do, such Tanko and Lord Kaelan. Hello. First up, it's Ara Dawnblossom, 10 play point 4/4. Spellboost, reduce the cost of this card by 1. Fanfare, deal 10 damage to an enemy follower. Evolve, transform another follower into a Regal Falcon, which is a 4/4 with Storm. And this is also the one that has the Fern alt art.
I do kind of sort of like him because Wamdus mentioned Tanko loves Wamdus.
Tanko loves Wamdus.
Throw this out alongside Blade Destroyer to get an even wider Wamdus board. Obviously, that requires you to draw into enough of your Spellboost followers to strengthen your Wamdus board, which is Wamdus is already high level enough.
And also, it's a bit strange because, you know, with Wamdus, you usually want to super her for the barrier, and then here you'd have to super this guy for the option for Regal Falcon.
Well, it can be normal evolve.
Yeah, but you can't do both in one turn. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. I think this is a strong card. Comparing it to, you know, classic standards, we had this card called Chimera, which was a 9 play point 4/4 that had the same spell boost subtract 1, and fanfare, deal 4 to an enemy follower. And that's significantly worse than this guy, right? But this card was actually played a lot back in the day as a 0 cost 4/4 that just swings the board tempo your way. In classic, we also have this card called Daria Dimensional Witch, lets you redraw your hand and spell boost it a bunch of times, which I guess, you know, similarly to that, we do have Dimension Climb here. Is there room for that in the Kaelan version of the deck?
There's an obscure lethal combo you can do with Kaelan. You gotta set up onions.
Yeah.
Then you've got to play Kaelan, draw the Ara and the Astaroth's Reckoning, and then evolve Ara into your onion to a Regal Falcon with Storm, and you'll be able to kill with the Astaroths.
It's not actually that bad too, because, you know, usually with Astaroths, you would need an enemy target and you'd need a super held back. With that combo, you'd just need the regular evolve held back or the Aura, meaning you can spend your super evolve on a Kuon instead. Part of the reason why Spell Boost fell off a little bit recently is because their plays are a little easy to read and they also don't really do much in the mid game leading into their end game. Now you have this option of just landing Ara Dawnblossom whenever and having, you know, a really strong tempo swing in that period of time where usually you wouldn't have the connective tissue to lead you from your Anangrea turn to your Kuon turn. I don't know. I still think it's boring. Am I being a doomer?
It's a very boring card.
It's very stale card design, but it's real stale to us because we're classic players. Because like I said, we don't actually have that many Spellboost cards of this nature in Worlds Beyond yet.
That's true.
But also, I don't want to see more Spellboost fathers like this.
Yeah,
in Worlds Beyond.
I would rather Spell Boost not just be about dealing damage to the enemy leader with Burn or Storm. And this is technically more just 0 cost Storm, which really sucks.
Yeah.
I was going to mention Chimera was actually what made Daria a playable card. Daria was released in Rise of Bahamut, not played in that expansion, but in Tempest of the Gods, when we got Chimera, Ogla Daria had a deck available to them. Maybe he'll do the same thing for Dimension Climb in a different format, in a way where they're climbing as soon as possible instead of waiting for a Kuon or Kaelan to lethal with
Right,
climb.
we used to call that deck Tempo Daria. Maybe you're right. They'll add more cards similar to Blaze Destroyer and himself, just adding more spell boostable cards that you can just spam boards out with every turn, right?
Which is not the direction I would have liked to have seen Rune go in, especially not in this expansion that literally has Linkle. I like the reduce your opponent's max HP style of Runecraft. It's just they always printed it wrong by printing it alongside burn damage and storms, like with Princess Connect Catgirl, that would just destroy your face.
We mentioned.
I also want to say, for people who might be confused, we know that the Blossoming Fate expansion is going to tie in with the Arcana from Shadowverse Classic as well. And the card Kaelan's referring to is Linkle. I don't have it up right now because I don't want to speculate too much on her, because some of the other Arcana we've gotten recently, like Milteo and Luzin, have literally nothing to do with Luzin at all.
No flavor Luzin at all whatsoever.
And Sophina doesn't really have much to do with Sophina as well. So, but what Kaelan's referring to is that Linkle was able to reduce max HP of your opponent, basically, is what he's talking about.
They could easily still turn Linkle into Spellboost slot because the other token spell that Linkle had was a Spellboost support 4-drop spell that didn't do anything, but it was still a spell was mentioned.
Next up, we have a card for Forest Craft. It's called Elegance of the Swarm Petal. It's a 3 play point spell. Draw X cards from your deck where X is your combo. And remember, in Worlds Beyond, playing this card itself would count for combo 1. Am I crazy? It seems pretty bad, no? Like, and it's an awkward position too, because I feel like 3 is quite expensive, whereas if it was 2, it would be way too cheap and way too broken. I feel like Forest already has better combo tools than, or draw tools rather, Garden's Allure that already exists. This helps you manage your hand size when you're generating a bunch of tokens, which you want to do, and it draws 2 just for 2 play points instead. I guess this one can like do a huge burst amount of draw, but because it's 3 play points, it seems a bit heavy for that, unless they introduce a new archetype in this that does something with emptying your entire hand and then drawing an entire full hand again, right?
This might have archetypal support tied into it, but then I thought about how Sloth, the Dragoncraft 2 play point gold, can't possibly tie into an archetype because it's just generic removal.
Yeah.
So I think this might actually just be generic draw.
Maybe, right? And I want to also bring up, you know, could be good with, you know, the 0 cost cards like Deepwood Bounty generated off Lambent Cairn, but usually you want to be saving those for a big combo turn like with Roach or whatever other win con you got. Maybe this is setting up for a new way to engage with that, you know, 0 cost generation mechanic, but it just seems worse than what we already have, like with Rhinoceroach. And because it's so expensive with 3, it feels like it's hard to combo with Roach as well on the Roach turn.
As it stands, you're not going to be wanting to resolve this during Roach combo. And also, the only other current build we have, well, not the only one, but one of the other main builds we have for Force is Tempo Fairy. So you could do a couple 1-drops into this, maybe 5 play point, a couple of fairies and draw 3, it's whatever. But even then, you already have a better draw engine for Forestcraft in the form of World of Games, where you just play a couple of fairies to reduce the countdown, because fairies all cost 1. Just spam out your 1-drops with World of Games and just get your draw 2s like that.
Yeah, and not only that, but World of Games is also a 1-drop itself, which lets you combo into Tempo Fairy cards like Fairy Dancer, whatever, May, etc. Whereas this is harder to weave in.
You can use the new
Miroku Swarm Petal.
You can use her to recover a whole bunch of play points, which can let you combo even further. But I feel like Miroku is such a good card. All her effects are so good that using her to recover 4 just for the draw spell seems like a waste.
It's 3 play point draw 3 if you play a 1 cost with it. What's odd about that is, like you said, for what end? And also Garden's Allure already does that with way less work, and that's an evo that you have to spend for Miroku to do that as well. The only exception is, of course, we don't have the full context of all the Hanafuda Blossoming Fate themed cards. Maybe this ties into something.
I guess if Forest is getting Wolfred this set, the Hanged Man
is a funny upside down man.
Yeah, so
number 12.
Wolfrod had that funny win con similar to Mierabane, where if you deck out, you win. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe you make your deck a deck out thing, and then you play this card to draw your whole deck, right? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, check out the video on screen right now where we take a look at yesterday's cards, including the Dragon Ghoul that got Kaelan so pissed off.